Leanne, should I share my screen or the presentation, I should say?
I'm going to share it.
You're gonna share it?
Marie said she wanted to start with the intro.
Okay. I'll turn on my video.
Thank you for attending today's New York City Department of Education Beyond Access Forum. This event is brought to you by the DOE Division of Specialized Instruction and Student Support and the Office of Digital Inclusion, and the New York City School Library System. A special thank you to all our partners. Be sure to visit their booths throughout the day. I'd like to take a moment to remind everyone to log into the Conference Hub using the link sent in your confirmation email. Once you are logged in, you can visit the partner booths to learn about their offerings and book a meeting or live chat with them. Network with today's attendees via the registrant directory and chat features. Gain access to all the conference resources in the download section and enter our passport to prizes. Throughout the Conference Hub, you will find buttons to enter into our passport to prizes. Each time you find a button and fill in a form, you are entered into the raffle. All entries are eligible for a series of prize drawings, only one prize per participant. We will announce winners via email at the end of the conference. Before we begin, I'd like to cover a few housekeeping items. If you have any questions for the presenters during the session, please submit them through the Zoom chat feature. You have the option to turn on closed captioning by clicking Show Subtitle within your Zoom console. Be sure to use the conference hashtag NYC Schools Inclusion in your social media posts. And for CTLE credit, I will drop in the URL in the chat box. Please join me in welcoming our speakers.
Hi, everybody. My name is Leanne Ellis. I am the Manhattan coordinator for the Office of Library Services, also the project manager for My Library NYC, our partnership program with the public libraries, as well as in charge of the Destiny catalog.
And I'm Michael Dodes. I'm the library coordinator for Queens, do a lot of our data work, and have had a hand in setting up this conference. So I'm very glad to be here today and that we have a chance to talk about digital citizenship and inquiry.
So I'm going to share my screen with the presentation. Okay, so our focus is on teaching digital citizenship through an inquiry lens, how to extend common sense media, or I guess common sense's curriculum through the ESIFC. So please feel free to email us in the future if you have any questions about today's presentation. So we're going to take you briefly through what the ESIFC is and how it relates to inquiry. We're going to also focus on the instructional shift to teach information literacy, content to process, with some of the ESIFC lessons. Then we're going to briefly show you the digital citizenship curriculum from Common Sense that they have recently revised. And then we're going to show you the alignment. So we paired their curriculum for grades 1 through 12, and we're going to be adding kindergarten shortly, so come back for that, with lessons and assessments from the ESIFC. So you can extend the learning concepts from Common Sense through the ESIFC with an inquiry framework. We're also going to give you time to explore and to meet in breakout rooms, probably about 5 to 6 people per room for about 10 minutes, just to kind of take in and kind of brainstorm how you might implement this in your school with your students. And then we'll close with some helpful links and next steps. So if any of you are not familiar with the Empire State Information Fluency Continuum, it's a continuum of information fluency or information literacy skills from pre-K to 12 that allows students to be consumers of information, critical thinkers and savvy inquirers into research and building knowledge. So this is what it's based on, the Stripling model of inquiry. Barbara Stripling is instrumental in creating and sort of guiding not only this model of inquiry, but also all of the lessons and assessments in the ESIFC. So Michael, if you want to just take a few minutes to talk about how inquiry frames ESIFC and how it impacts student learning.
Absolutely. So when we started talking to Common Sense about how to align this inquiry process, the reason I picked it was because I had another, or I should say, I had a couple questions from librarians about how they were going to structure their classes going forward. And it made sense to me that if you were going to structure units of study for library on information literacy, you would base it around this model. And also, just from my experience in the library, I know that teachers tend to do just the investigate, construct, express steps of this, which is the bottom half of that model. The top half, connect, wonder, and reflect, tend to get shelved a little in favor of expediency because it's a little bit more internal, it's a little bit more work, but you don't get, it's not as tied to the final product as getting the information, putting it into something, and then sharing it. So I really wanted to emphasize those steps in building this alignment. And so that emerged that we wanted to turn the inquiry process into an alignment with the ESI, with the Common Sense digital citizenship lessons, so that teachers would easily be able to implement an inquiry process with all the Common Sense lessons and do it seamlessly with less work for the teacher while teaching students good inquiry habits. So the ESIFC has been around for, I think, some 15 years. It was recently reimagined. It had 2 new pieces added to it. So there was nothing taken away. It was just added to, mainly the multiple literacies piece is huge. That we are not just talking about information literacy, we're talking about all sorts of understanding. And the entire ESIFC is built on this building understanding progressively through a student's schooling. And this framework integrates with every subject area. So that made it natural that if we had this content for digital citizenship that we wanted students to learn, well, let's tie it in to that inquiry process. And so you have the new ESIFC with makes a natural pairing for Common Sense.
So I put the link into the chat for this website, which has all of the different content of the ESIFC. I would say section 4 and section 5 are the ones you would use the most. So if you scroll down, you can see the assessments organized by grade level. And these are all of the information literacy skills, benchmark skills that have an accompanying graphic organizer. So if you looked at paraphrasing chart, these are all Word documents that you can open, and they are graphic organizers that capture the learning that students demonstrate for this particular skill. So over the summer, we created lesson plans that go with each of these benchmark skills, which we're going to put a link to in just a moment. And so then you'll see that the alignment between digital citizenship and this document is between the lessons in digital citizenship and lesson extensions for lessons based on the benchmark skills of the ESIFC. So one quick tool if you want to use this is just to do Control F, and you can, there's a particular skill you want to focus on. Because this is a continuum of skills, you could just put paraphrase, or we'll do inference. And you can see there's 5 different organizers at different grade levels that are about inference. So this is a way you can scaffold these easily with different students and easily find not only the organizer, but also the lesson plans that go with each of these skills. So you would just write down 4.6, 4.7, 4.12, and 8.12. Okay. So if you made a quick note of that. So before we jump into showing you the lessons for the ESIFC, we'd like to take a moment to have you share your thoughts on how does inquiry support student learning and achievement. So we're going to put the link to the Jamboard in the chat, and you can create a quick sticky note to share your response with the other participants in this. And just as an FYI, this is a new tool from Google that is kind of, if you use Padlet, it's similar to that, but it's nice because it's easily integrated into the G Suite. So you can quickly just click over here, type in your response, and color code it. So this is kind of a digital version of the parking lot or the round robin kind of activity that we often do in workshops, or that you could have students do. I find in the chat of Zoom or Google Meets, it's hard to follow the thread because everyone's just typing at once. So this gives you a more vertical view of people's responses. And you can click on anyone's response and enlarge it. So it kind of, if you wanted to have someone's response stand out more than others, you can easily do so, or just to be able to view everyone's responses. So we'll take another just minute or so to give people time.
I guess we hit the limit at 30 people. Is that like the limit on Jamboard? I think we just kind of hit the maximum.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. Oh, well, okay. I guess that's good to know. But if you had more than 30 people respond, you probably couldn't see the answers. But it's good to see that there's a lot of focus, if you look through the responses, that it really makes learning student-centered and engaged and active in their own learning. So it's a really powerful approach to learning. Did you want to say anything else, Michael, about?
Yeah, no, I'm just reading the answers and they're all so good. It was a surprise that we've never hit the limit on Jamboard before, so I apologize those of you who can't get in to add your 2 cents to it. No, you're all right on the money. It's about students getting the chance to explore, and that's what we're trying to give you today, is the chance to explore and look at and think about how to integrate this with your students, because we have ideas and we want to tell you, but you know what's best for your students, and you're going to know what's going to resonate and what's going to work for them. So hopefully as we go through this and we present the alignment, it'll trigger some things for you that you can share on how you're thinking about putting this into your school that can help someone else make that connection. So we're very much about the people in our courses sharing what they're thinking in their process, so that we know that we're sharing things that are helpful to you, but also so that we're hearing what you're thinking of that we're not thinking of. So okay, that's enough jabbering from me. And thank you through the heart.
Yeah, and you can this will be open, so if you ever want to refer back to this, and then there's another question at the end that we're going to ask. You can also look at that one as well. So these will be up for a while to refer back to. So someone says hello. Okay. Hi, Shirley. So going back to the presentation. Okay, so next we're going to briefly show you the link to the ESIFC. So all of the listing of skills that you saw earlier, there's a lesson that goes with it. And we're going to put the link in the chat. So, and I'm just going to briefly show you how they are organized. And then also how the instructional approach differs with a process-based lesson as opposed to content. So basically, all of these are arranged by the skill that you want students to learn and master. So if you want to follow my earlier example, it could be making inferences. And all of the lessons have a mini lesson or prompt with the skill. So the nice thing about teaching with a process-based learning objective is that you don't necessarily have to use the content that you're going to be teaching to illustrate the skill. So you could use any example you want because you're introducing the skill that students are going to be learning, not necessarily introducing them to the content. So most content-based lessons start with some kind of question or hook about civil rights or climate change. But in this case, you don't necessarily have to use that content to introduce the skill. And then in the guided practice, you model the skill using whatever content you are drawing from, whether it's digital citizenship or social studies or science or ELA, and then use it into practice for students to apply that selected skill individually or in small groups. So let me show you we'll put the link to this.
For digital, do you want the common sense lessons now?
Oh no, this is for the ESIFC. I'm putting into the chat. So you can see these all separately, and then obviously we're gonna show you the alignment in just a moment, and give you most time to look at that. But the ESIFC lessons are arranged by grade. So say you opened grade 8. So then you'll see this has all of the numeric numbers of the skills. So again, if you want to stick with the inference theme, if you wanted to open 8.12, you'll see it has the graphic organizer and then the lesson that goes with it. So that's how all of the lessons are arranged. There's some lessons where it's multiple graphic organizers that cover the same skill in different areas that might be grouped in one lesson. But typically most of them have one lesson with one skill graphic organizer. These are all Word documents, so you can open them as a Google Doc and do a text edit. So you can have students type in online. They could also download the Word document and type it in and re-upload it. Or they could save it as a PDF and download a free add-on like Foxit to type in the PDF and then upload it. So those are just some of the ways that you can make these lessons, the graphic organizers, work with an online environment. So to easily look through the different skills, you can obviously look back at the ESIFC skills all listed, and then find the lessons that go with those skills through the lesson plans. Okay, so that's this framework. And now we're going to move to digital citizenship. Hopefully some of you attended the presentation that was given an hour ago by Tali from Common Sense, and we've been working together to create this alignment. So Common Sense recently revised their curriculum as well. It's grades K to 12, research-based, and each lesson, there's about 6 lessons per grade, which actually fits nicely with the inquiry process because there's 6 stages of inquiry, as you'll see shortly. And so they revised their curriculum last year, and then they also included sources available in Spanish and English, and family engagement resources as well. So these are kind of the focuses that they have. A lot of it's focusing on thinking critically about what you see and create. There's a lot of focus on media literacy, news literacy, how to be safe online, digital footprint, cyberbullying, a lot on copyright and Creative Commons, plagiarism, and also seeking facts and evidence and considering multiple perspectives. So some other topics are grade, finding credible news. How do we find credible information on the internet, which is becoming ever more relevant in today's world.
Especially today. All
Yeah.
days.
Yeah. So it's kind of nice because every lesson title gives you a question that kind of encapsulates what the lesson is about. And then it gives you a brief overview and then the learning objectives. And then another one for grade 12 is filter bubble trouble. How can we filter bubbles limits the information we're exposed to? Okay, so if there's a Knowledge Quest article I wrote about this process, the alignment, if you want to reference that at some point in the future. But we want to give you some time to look at the alignment and kind of explain how it comes together. And then we're going to have you go into breakout rooms to kind of explore this and talk and share with one another about how you might use this with students in your school community going forward. So let me just put the link to this in the chat. And then I will take you through just a couple of grades, how the alignment works and is set up, and then give you time in breakout rooms to kind of explore it on your own with your colleagues. So the alignment is here. Okay. So on the front, we have just kind of a brief overview and then the Stripling model of inquiry. Our plan is to actually make this a little more in depth in the coming weeks. But let's say you clicked on third grade. So each alignment has a link to the ESIFC inquiry cycle. And then this is a link to the entire Common Sense digital citizenship curriculum, which you can log in for free with a G Suite account or any email address. So this is all free. And then the alignment works by listing out the inquiry phase. So connect, wonder, investigate, construct, express, reflect. And then it nicely paired because each Common Sense grade except for first grade and kindergarten has 6 lessons. So we put a link to the Common Sense lesson here, and then ideas for how you can extend the lesson or extend a part of this lesson through the ESIFC. So for example, if you wanted to do rings of responsibility with students, how do digital citizens take responsibility for themselves, their communities, and their world? So this could be a question that students explore, looking at password, privacy, your digital footprint, and then also being part of an online community. So those are all the concepts. I'm sorry. So this is focused on how do digital citizens take responsibility for themselves, their communities, and their world? Okay. So they kind of look at responsibilities online to themselves and to others. So then if we go back to the alignment, so then the lesson extension would be asking questions. So students will learn how to develop additional questions to and a topic of interest to them about their responsibility as an online user. Another example would be investigate, is seeing believing. So this lesson focuses from digital citizenship. Why do people alter digital photos and videos? So it's about how to recognize if something is altered and then some of the different reasons why people do this. So then to extend the lesson, you can pair it with drawing conclusions from information. So they'll understand how to make inferences and draw conclusions from multiple sources of images and text. Another extension could be interpreting illustrations. So they're going to understand how to interpret and evaluate visual information. And then the last one is evaluating a media source. So examining online sources for reliability and accuracy. So this one initial lesson talks about digital and video manipulation. And then these are all the ways you can extend the lesson to develop students' critical thinking skills and inquiry about this initial digital citizenship lesson. So I'll just show one more grade very quickly and then give you time in the breakout rooms. Like very quickly. Okay, so you can see like 11th grade. We have lessons on your digital footprint, how young is too young for social media. So you're looking at point of view, online disinhibition, cyberbullying. So you're looking at multiple perspectives, note-taking, evaluating the truth in media and of misinformation. So all of the lessons correspond to a phase of the inquiry. The digital citizenship lesson is listed, and then along with the lesson extension.
So I think everyone should also think about this in terms of how you can integrate this with other content areas. Like we took the digital citizenship content and we did this alignment and this extension, but really you could do this yourself with any content area. It's very doable, but it's a way to get the information literacy skills into any content area. Digital citizenship is just one that's very common right now, given that everyone's, well, digital. So.
Okay, so Marie, could you set up the breakout rooms for 10 minutes for about 6 participants each?
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll be in breakout rooms as well. So
I'll be in room 10.
I'll be in 13. So, so I'll see who's over there. Okay, so when we have everyone back, I'm going to share my screen for the last few slides, and then I'll also put the presentation link in the chat as well. Okay, so here's the link to the presentation for today's PowerPoint. So there's just a few slides remaining to show you, mostly just some links. Okay, so there's some helpful links. There's a link to a HighFlex instructional plan. So it's a modified lesson plan that takes into account student blended learning and hybrid learning or remote. There's also a link to some student blended learning practices. Some questions to consider as you go forward from today's session is, how will you build teacher awareness and use of digital citizenship in the ESIFC, building administrative support, building a culture of inquiry, generating more collaborative planning and teaching, and personalized instruction. So we'd like to close by giving you an opportunity to post again to the Jamboard on your next steps. So we'll put this link again into the chat.
And it's the second board over from the first one that we
Yeah.
typed on.
So I'll just put it again in the chat in case anyone doesn't want to scroll all the way up.
I already put it in.
Oh, okay, thanks. Okay, so what are your next steps? Okay. Okay, teach a lesson. Okay, great.
We're on board 204. I don't know where the others, someone's hitting create them. Now we're up to 6. Should we test how many boards we can get before Jamboard explodes? Sorry, I have my own.
Why did you, oh, you added some other boards so people could
someone
join?
else is. Someone else is clicking the add board button.
Oh, okay.
This is what happens.
We'll make these probably, we'll take editing privileges away. So yeah, I was kind of wondering that. Why are there so many more boards up here?
I like the soundtrack one. Sounds like a good idea.
That sounds fun. Okay, so before we close, did anyone have any questions that they wanted to post? Oh yeah, I know. I'm sorry about that. There's that limit of 30 people, so
We
that's
didn't know
one.
that until this meeting.
Yeah, that's one flaw of Jamboard, but it would work with most class sizes. I guess, but yeah, maybe we could, it is, yeah, it's free. But we should, maybe we can write to Google and ask them to increase the amount of
Yeah,
a
I'm gonna do
participant.
some, I'll do some inquiries with DIIT, and also we'll look at Microsoft Whiteboard and see if maybe there's a higher limit there. Same type of product.
Okay,
But yeah, so there are options. But this is part of the fun of trying new stuff, you know? Now we know this is good for this, it's not good for that.
did you have any closing words, Michael?
No, I just hope that you guys found this time to kind of look at it to be helpful, and that the alignment makes sense, and that's going to help promote digital citizenship for your students.
We are going to be adding kindergarten and also a little notation under the digital citizenship lesson that just basically describes what it is, because sometimes from the title alone doesn't necessarily tell you enough.
We are going to do a tiny little updates to it just to clarify some things, but not like completely throw out the baby with the bathwater, as it were. But we were glad we were able to get it out in time for Digital Citizenship Week and for the DOE to meet its need to provide digital citizenship to students, which is why we kind of rushed it out.
Okay. Marie, are there any closing session remarks or?
Nope. We can just wrap it up now.
Okay.
Okay, that works for me. See everyone for the next session. There's one more session, I believe, and then the closing. So have a good day, everyone. Thank you so much. The CTLE link was posted above. Marie, can you post it again?
Yep, I'll drop it in again.
I appreciate that. Thank you.